Well, for starters, I mean, this is our first episode of Building the Future podcast, right?
Yep.
So I think we just need to go around the room. I'm Luke. To my left here.
And I'm Kale.
Elisha.
Blake Haan.
Blake Stover.
So yeah, we're probably not live. Maybe in future episodes, could we go live? Is that a possibility?
Tanner does it. I see it on TikTok.
We'd need about a 20-second delay, maybe.
Yeah.
Max
over there.
I had a shot of text to one of the guys that I wanted to have on, and he goes, "Well, like, what's the policy on swearing?" I was like, "Yeah, we keep that to a minimum." He goes, "I don't know. Ask me again in a couple of months. I don't know if I can make that work." And I was just like, "Man, you can't shut it off for an hour to shoot a podcast."
All you got to do is bring a pastor here and have him be part of the guest panel. He won't sweat.
Yeah, and just sweating.
It's like one of my mentors said. The guy said, "I can't quit cussing." Do you cuss in church? Well, no. Okay, so you can control it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll send Blake to seminary, then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I get
Pastor on staff.
Great.
Work on it a little bit.
And you went to that, didn't you? Went to school to be a pastor?
Yeah, I had some training in that.
Oh.
Oh, I think Mr. Haan Blake has an interesting past. I got to dig in. I want to know more than just the last 6 months of what you've been about.
All right, let's see what happens.
Well, he's the interviewee today, so. All right, Luke, where are we going?
Yeah, I guess starting off, the mission for this thing is simple. We're trying to connect the next generation of workers, employees, whether it's tradespeople or we're going to see where this thing flies, with the professionals that have seen what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Whether it's soft skills, hard skills, what it takes to succeed in moving forward from
High
Blake,
school?
From high school and sorry, Blake.
All right.
I don't know. You
was-
guys are the same dang age.
Just different. Yeah, I guess that is weird. So you got Elijah here, same age as us, owns his own business, and you have two of the kids same age.
Now, are you guys all three the same age?
Yeah, we all went to
Gotcha.
school together.
Okay.
Same with Max, too.
Same age?
He just didn't go to school with us.
He's not in school.
But
I'm not the same age.
No.
Well, we jump a couple generations here. It's like the cool kids, and then slightly less cool kids, and then just the senile program.
The wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
We call
Yeah,
it the
the
wisdom. Yeah, that'll be we'll need that wisdom chair over
There you go.
Yeah. But that's the goal of this whole thing is to how do you go from this to
The next level.
the next level and what's it take to get there?
Oh, and you got all these business owners, and I've talked to a lot of them. Oh, there's a guy over in Elkhart that he owns a business. He has no succession plan, runs a business that does $1.1 million, $1.2 million a year, and would be more than happy to have some young guy come in, learn, take over, and he'd just give it if that's what you just see the legacy continue because granddad did it, dad did it, he did it, no kids, no succession plan. So there's so many opportunities out there in these skilled trades that AI isn't taking, that makes sense to come bring kids into some of those, whether that is on the floor of a factory job or apprentice with an HVAC company or looking at taking over a business. There's just basically we live in a time where you could just scoop it up if you know the right people or you ask the right questions. Even you don't even have to know the right person. I mean, your little brother got a hold of wherever that farm store he's doing stuff now, and now he's like running the show there.
Yep, same thing. It's just all about who you know and what you know, just through interactions with people. It doesn't have to be that you have all the technical knowledge to start with, but just going ahead, asking those questions, and getting involved with the right people. Even though, like, we were talking with Max the other day, our studio guy here helping us out, he talked about his high school. He went to a bigger high school than we did. Blue-collar work, trade school is not something that's ever talked about. They're not exposed to it. They don't know about it. So let alone getting into that career, straight out of high school when you never have known about it. So it's neat that we can get on here, share exactly what those experiences are to get it in those kids' hands, but then also on Sundays provide those opportunities where guys can try welding, running machinery, plumbing, electrician stuff, like all of that.
Yeah.
Well, so we've got a couple of different generations in here. What was the exposure difference? For us, it was college. I mean, basically all of us got told to be engineers in like 8th grade. And then some of you guys did, some not. Me, definitely not. But
Well, I can tell you back when I was in high school, I mean, the trades were almost frowned upon. I mean, that was the I don't know, the out. Like you've peaked at high school, you're not going to, there is no growth arc for your
Really?
future if you're not going to high school. It was, you kind of bailed out, and now we're just going to go into the trades, and that's just going to be your plateau. That was honestly how it was looked on. There was no, hey, get into this, and here's where the future could take you. I got into it because I saw what that future was, and I mean that was my plan from early on in high school. I knew exactly where I was going to go, and good luck to the rest of you doing your thing, and I'm going to be out making money.
Right. Well, it
Even
turned
I think for our age group, like it kind of was like it was looked down upon to go into the trades almost, and it's why are we
Well-
looking down upon the trades? And it's like looking at some of these median pays and salaries, and especially you get a license with something or going into the management route, and if you are aggressive and you can become a manager and manage crews.
Well, I'm looking at this
That are in an apprenticeship and they're foreman running work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like if you're eager to grow, you can dominate almost any industry, any job you want.
Well, and that foreman, so that's a great example. You take any one of your classmates, any one of you guys, and I, as somebody that's leading several crews, we just picked up a kid the other day, and he's got it. This kid or this kid, they're great workers. They understand the stuff. This kid right here is going to be leading the show in, just because they have that ability to talk or just see the project or whatever it is. That's
Okay,
not
but-
everybody's path.
But what is that? Is that the problem solving? Is that the just, common sense? Because we hear that a ton from all these people. We go and all these different employers. Well, common sense is gone. Well, is it, or we forget how to teach it? Or?
attitude and effort?
Okay. Well, there's your two things.
That's it. I mean, this is not a complicated. You show up with attitude and effort, all the rest will be handed to you. If you show up with the right attitude every day, you got to show up every day, and with the right attitude, and yeah, you will, the sky's the limit. Now that's not for everybody, and that's okay. There are climbers and there are campers, okay, and I don't care what trade you're in, what industry you're in. I don't care if it's a lawyer or a plumber. There are climbers and there are campers. So, some lawyers want to own their own practice. Some just want to hand papers, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But okay, so back to you, other Blake.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, because you did not initially start in the trades.
Correct.
What did that look like without what age range or what year range did you graduate?
Well, I graduated in 1980 from high school.
Okay.
So I was in high school in the late 70s. I do not remember anybody encouraging me ever in high school to go to the trades.
Did you know about the trades?
I would have to say I never considered a trade as a career path. I mean, I thought about automotives maybe when I was in high school. Other than that, I don't know why, but no one ever led me that way or taught me anything about it. As I look back now, I mean, I'm sure there were opportunities, to get into a trade and do stuff, but it just wasn't talked about that much. I think college probably was pushed more. I remember a saying somebody told me once, they say 4 will get you 40. You go to school for 4 years, you're going to make $40,000 a year.
Well, now
Oh,
you're-
interesting.
So back then that was,
Sure.
better money. But I think things have flip-flopped and changed a lot, where the value of a college degree is maybe less than it used to be. And then we all know that with AI, it's totally changing industries and job opportunities. And, you know, the trades are especially positioned in a good spot because a lot of those jobs are almost AI proof.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and you're sorry, Elisha, you're exactly right. I mean, there's not hearing about it right now, but there was a lot of kids coming out of college that were baffled that there weren't people down at the bottom of the steps waiting to offer them jobs. Like,
Yeah.
we thought this was a guaranteed deal.
We're
That
running
was
into
the
that.
deal. I went to college for 4.
yeah.
Where's my job?
Yep.
Well, you get a good degree in left-handed puppetry, and it's going to be hard to. If anybody knows that quote, you can call me out on it. I like the guy that came from, but that's the that's.
Well, but
And so you got to get a trade in or a degree or knowledge in something that has value.
Right.
And how many of them are actually going to jobs where, I mean, you probably could have just worked out of high school at a lower level to get there. And so someone might be your colleague and they started out of high school where they're now 4 years ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're
There are
coming
very few. They're still out there where this position requires a bachelor degree.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the universities operate that way, where you can only climb so high on the ladder without that bachelor's degree. But then you got to look at our ROI, right? That's going to get me an extra $5 or $10, you know, but it's going to cost me $100.
Yeah.
You know, what's the ROI on that? And am I going to stay here long enough to make that worth it? And I can tell you a lot of times the answer is no.
well, I mean, you look at, so we've got some of these stats in front of us, and we're looking at median pay for these positions in the trades: electrician, plumber, HVAC, carpenter, welder, just general construction labor. They're all between 50 and 65,000. But I look over at the unemployment rate for those people.
For those positions
Yeah.
specifically?
3%. The highest one is HVAC at 5%.
So if you're in the HVAC field, you and the people you know have roughly a 5% unemployment?
Right, but you go back and look at your apprenticeship. So, Blake, what do you think it costs you to go to Iowa State, or what it costs to go to Iowa for a year? I mean,
out. It's up to,
in
in states, like 22 to 25.
Is that just tuition before room and board?
Yep. Room and board's going to double it.
Yep.
so you're roughly $50,000. Is that yearly, or is that for the whole degree?
For a room and board, you'll be roughly 50,000. But now, mostly for these days, it's just usually freshmen or usually in the dorms, room and board, and then most people go out and it's rent and housing and apartments.
So
which
I mean,
honestly
you
might
factor
even
in
cost
not
more
working or
than your
working
room and board.
limited hours for 4 years. You're making $50,000 worth of payments across that. Let's just take $12,000 a month is going to education. Plus, you're not really working. If you take a student loan, you're going to have interest on that. Versus you take somebody out, we're looking at first year apprentices making between 18 and 25, 28 bucks an hour here, getting paid for those 4 years, and then additionally coming out and hitting that 80,000 plus once their 4 years are over. Whereas you go in for 4 years, you're not even guaranteed a job at 80,000.
Correct. And there we're just touching on in-state numbers.
Right.
You talk about kids who go out of state to get a degree, and then they're like expecting to get a job right away. And that job opportunity is not at the bottom of the stairs, like we said. Like, you have to go out and still find something, and you're probably going to get a job in these days that's going to pay less than what these starting positions would be, even though you have a degree, but now you have tons of debt. So with the education that we currently have, where we kind of shun that you should go to trade school and we don't talk about it, we're setting kids up for failure because we push them. They need to go to college, but the world is more expensive now than it ever has been. And we all know that. Gas, everything, it's expensive. But we push them to go take this route. But then that opportunity that used to be there, this great job that you get by having an education, doesn't really exist.
Well, I mean, look at all the jobs in the like AI has really gotten nuts in the last 24 months. That it's really wound up and started. I mean, we don't hire an advertising service anymore. We have one guy that does our own media stuff, but he has so many AI tools available to him. There's no longer needed. 2 of the companies we've used in the past for advertising are out of business. Like a lot of those jobs that are not like what I'd call STEM jobs or infrastructure jobs just aren't there. So going to get a degree for it it's almost not worth the paper it's written on.
I mean, I've got coming from Iowa State, I've got a lot of buddies, Caleb, and you might have a lot of buddies too, where they've got like a simple business degree or kind of some broad degree, and they're struggling right now to find interview, like even just to get an interview, in-person interview, and not just some pre-recorded and just pre-recorded interviews where
Yeah.
you got some AI that probably just took you out of the pile before someone even got to listen to you.
Got to fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
Get your AI to do the interview for you.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things we tell our kids when we do our workshops is, you know, find the work that fits you too. And there's a whole bunch of kids out there that aren't designed to sit in front of a computer screen all day. You know, they're kind of made to work with their hands, to move around, that kind of stuff. And so that's another reason for them to look at the trades, right? Because it fits their personality, it fits how they're made. And again, just like we talked about, I mean, the income potential is very good. And you can be Luke, you can be a journeyman, right, in 4 to 5 years typically in most of these trades.
Absolutely.
And then some of the trades, I think the next level up is maybe a master for plumbing and for some other
Another
things.
couple years after that.
And almost all those are over 6 figures when you get to that stage, aren't
for
they,
sure,
Luke?
For sure.
So, you know, the amount of time you could have spent going to college, you can be training yourself to be one of the best at what you do, and you can be making over 6 figures. And what we try to tell our kids too, I mean, if you absolutely want a job that requires college and it's marketable, then go for it. But if you're not shaped that way to do that, there are a lot of opportunities in the trades to really take care of your family and make a good living.
Now, Blake, you've always worked with your hands, but you haven't always had a career in the trades.
Correct.
So leaving, I'm curious about your path and how you have gotten to where you've gotten. I mean, you're neck deep into the trades now.
Right.
Where from high school back in the 80s, did you go straight into college after leaving high school?
Yeah, about a year after high school.
Yeah.
Went into college. So.
And did you go to college for the career path that you chose, or was that a bounce around for a little while?
Yeah, I mean, I was deciding between a couple different career paths. You know, I always like working with my hands. You know, just hobbies and stuff like that. But I saw a video once on chiropractic, right?
Mm-hmm.
The speaker. After I saw that video, it's like a light turned on. It's like, that's something I want to do. It made somewhat sense to me. So I went down a couple different paths. I studied. I was thinking about being a missionary at one time. And really, I felt like ultimately my passion was the chiropractic. And so that's the route I went down. It did require a lot of college, and I went through that because I felt like that was a calling for me, and I did that for about 30 years.
How many years were you in school?
Total college I've actually got 3 different degrees, and I spent 11 years in college.
And this is something that you see with a lot of kids that go to college. They will start by getting their gen eds, right? Because I haven't quite decided yet. So 2 years of doing this, and I took some advanced algebra because maybe I want to be an accountant. And then it turns out I kind of like horses, but geez, in order to get into vet med, now I got to go and do this. And that's another 3 years before you got to know somebody to get into that program, right? So now I'm 4 or 5 years in before I can even get into the program that I really think I'm passionate about. And after 2 years of that, it's like, this is ridiculous. Now I think, you know what? Well, we'll just go ahead and finish out with that, whatever. And now, I mean, there's the kids that are able to get through college in 4 years or less. I mean, there's some kids out there getting it done in 3, or even better if you can get some of those college credits. But anyway, the point is, there's so many kids that are not able to just get through and get into their careers. It's 4, 5, 6 years or 11, and of course there's more education you have to go through with that.
And that's a whole nother issue with college is the first 3 years is gen eds and prereqs that really doesn't pertain to what you're going to be doing. It's only that last year they're there that you're actually teaching you things that you're going to use in your job every day. But at that point, you're already so far in that you can't change path if you realize you don't like it.
And you've already paid for it.
Yeah, and if you do get that degree and you realize, well, this isn't really what I want to do, now you've dug yourself in a hole, not only financially, but with all your time. It's hard to decide, I need to switch to something else, or if you're going to stick it out and bury yourself in this job, in this career that you've already learned you really don't enjoy doing.
What's the gambling term for that?
Double down.
Sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, where you
I've,
just
I've,
keep
I've,
going?
I've already got 4 years in this thing, and there's no sense in backing out now. We might as well just keep dumping in because this thing's going to pay off eventually.
Yeah.
And that's what Blake's looking at, or trying to figure out all that stuff for himself with coming on working here versus going to school and finishing all that stuff. And where do you finish? I've got 3 years in, or
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that's keeping me in the finishes. I've spent so much time and effort and money.
Well, and I can
Finish it.
tell you that from what I found in those prereqs and the gen eds and all that stuff, usually what I found is that the places that are asking for that bachelor's degree, it has no bearing on what that degree was, right? They don't need a bachelor's in accounting or, I don't even know what your options are. They want you to prove that you were able to bear down
Yep.
and do something to the end for 4 years straight.
That's, yeah.
And
you can
and that's that attitude and effort. And here's that piece of paper
Mm-hmm.
that says that I'm able to actually show up every day for 4 years. You can count on me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think, one of the things that we're trying to tackle with our Work Ready program is getting something a little shorter that shows these people have been taught these things. They have the basic skills. And I think with the employment market the way it is, where everybody's trying to find somebody, just having a little leg up. Yeah, they got their OSHA 10 done. They buckled down, did that. They've got their, these tools. They know how to use those, and they've been taught these 30 soft skills like showing up on time. I don't know, what are the other 29 that you've come up with?
Well, a lot of them. Just creating good habits. Giving people more than they expect. Lots of just key principles like that. Living by the golden rule. All those what they call soft skills make a big difference and make somebody rise to the top.
But also as an employer, I can, look at that, call it certificate, whatever. I got a guy that we just hired out of the Building Future program. He shows up late, and I can go, hey, man, I know you just went through a month accelerator of learning to be there on time, and you had to get through that to even pass, and you did all this. This ain't going to fly. You're going to have to go. It's not going to, it kind of makes us be the catch-all of the screen and help weed some of those lower quality candidates out for these employers, because it's getting to the point where people are just hiring warm bodies and hoping it works out.
Right.
You said a quote, was it yesterday? You said, hire slowly, fire quickly.
Yeah.
You said that was from PVD.
Yeah, it's something I've had to learn in the last couple months is
Mm-hmm.
if you think you got the guy, hire him. If you really think, but if it's not working out, cut your losses and move on, because you're just wasting time, effort, and energy in somebody that's not, there to play for the home team. So,
Yeah. There's a saying that one of my mentors taught me. He said, people are either a wind in your sail or a drag on your tail. And if they're a drag on your tail, you can't have them part of your organization. You're not going to reach your goals. So, with hiring, I think we're getting to the point where we want to hire the A+ candidates because that's what's going to make the business go the best.
You hire for character, and you can train the rest.
Absolutely.
If somebody shows
absolutely.
up with
Absolutely.
again effort and ability and the right set of morals and standards, the rest is all teachable.
Yeah.
well, and you think about, for instance, Blake. I mean, did you have any base information on what ARS did a year ago today?
No, I had no idea it was even what it was. I mean, I guess
now he's running that whole program because I knew he was the right guy to be able to handle the job, and the way I was going to train it, because it's the way I train that is
the lack of training.
yeah, here you go. You figure it out. Call me if you got any questions, because that's where we were at the time. I knew he could handle that. I could train all the extra, all the logistical information and all the stuff you need to know to do the job. But if you don't have the right guy to do the job, on the fundamentals level, being able to lock in and actually do the work and show up and have a good attitude and, somebody you trust with your customers, that kind of stuff, then, yeah, there's no point in training them at all.
I mean, you ask a bunch of coaches and stuff. You say oh, who is your your favorite athletes, your favorite players, and it's more than likely it's the ones that we can coach, not the ones that are the best athletes. Because the best athletes think they're the best and they might argue with you, but the ones that can be coached and trained, that's who they end up liking the most, because they're flexible, they can mold, they can adapt.
that's really why we're starting. We started the programs like we have. Our foundations and soon to be work ready program is we want to deliver to employers almost pre-screened and pre-trained candidates. We want to offer those workers that have the great foundation that they're probably going to work out, so we don't have to weed through those. And that's the whole point of what we're trying to do, teach those character skills and that work ethic skills and those basic tool knowledge so that employers have a good opportunity to train that person specifically for what the job requires.
Correct. And through Work Ready, it's not only a benefit for the employer, but it's a benefit for the employee. They're not only going to learn all these technical skills and soft skills that are going to make them successful in whatever company they go to,
Right.
but through this partnership with these employers, we're going to have jobs ready to go for them. So they're not going to get done with our program and be like college, like, oh, I got to go out searching. I got to hope I get a position, whatever. No, you're going to finish our 1 month fast track and you're going to be ready to walk into a job right away. You're not going to have to deal with the searching and the whatnot because we can prove that you know how to do all these things. You've been set up for success. And these companies are helping us design the program. So they're directly involved in the programming, the scheduling, the curriculum that you will be going through.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What's this fast track?
Oh, the Work Ready program?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concept that we have because there's such a shortage, right? There's an extreme shortage of blue collar, hands-on trade workers out there. Every industry, every trade has it, whether it's auto body repair and finishing, plumbing, heating, whatever it is, electrician. There's shortages. So, we have a program called Foundations that we're working with high school kids to teach them a lot of the things we just talked about. But, some of these freshmen aren't going to be ready for the workplace for 3 or 4 more years, right? But there's people right now that are 17, 18, 19 that are pretty much ready to enter the workforce or either finishing high school, or maybe they went to college for a year or two and say, this isn't for me, So we want to do a fast track program, which within 30 days, we want to teach them, we want to teach them basic tool knowledge. We want to teach them work ethic, and we want to teach them critical life skills, as well as get that OSHA certificate and stuff. So we can present to that employer a good qualified candidate. So because we feel time is of the essence, so to speak, we want to do this kind of program in a very accelerated, short duration. Everybody's got 30 days they can invest in themselves to take a program like this. And then we want to get known for developing good quality candidates so employers, like Cale said, will look to us for maybe a source of potential employees.
So you're looking at a 5-day a week?
No, I mean, right now, conceptually, it's going to be a 16 to 20 hour program. And to help people that may be already working somewhere a little bit, it's either going to be maybe half a days on Saturdays or a couple of evenings a week.
Mm-hmm.
But our standards are going to be high. You're not just going to show up late and barely participate and get through it. There's people that join the military and maybe you're in the Army, but there's a whole nother level to Ranger School or Navy SEALs and things like that. And so we want to help develop some of the best candidates. And so we do need to have high standards in that, So the things that we teach, you need to be able to put into practice during our training program.
And you'd mentioned those soft skills, and that's another huge one.
Yeah.
You might be good at swinging a wrench or swinging a hammer. Don't swing a wrench. You got to learn that part too, right?
Yeah.
And but there's basic hand tool knowledge, and there's whole swinging a hammer. You're great at swinging a hammer, but you got to work with other people while you're swinging that hammer,
Right.
and to not be a butthead while you're doing it, and to be
Right.
able to be counted on and be dependable to, that guy that's standing there waiting for you to hand him a 2x4 or whatever it is. Those
Right.
soft skills, the please and thank you and make eye contact and shake a hand and
Right.
Or
It's-
customer, a customer walks up and has a question or something, you've got to be able to, turn the office nice on and talk to them because it's just the right thing to do. And but those are a lot
if
of
you're
things.
selecting that path that's customer facing, there's a lot of trade jobs that people really don't have very many soft skills. So okay, I want to go in and I want to do my thing, whether it's framing or concrete work or whatever it is. but you still have coworkers.
Right. And you work with them every day. And that's what I tell these guys. Like, you might work with a customer on even a regular basis, if depending on the business, or you might work with them once. So yeah, the customer is right to a level, and we're here to service them, with all our products and services and whatever. But you got to work with your coworkers every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a good relationship with them, is imperative, or you're going to hate your job. I mean, one of our software guys just came out of the corporate world a year ago, and he took a significant pay cut to do so. And he said, "I'd work for $50,000 a year, never to go back to that environment." It is that toxic to him that he doesn't care, because he's found a group of our group that he actually likes being around. He's actually friends with, and he said that outweighs the money, every day of the week. No, that's not the case for every place and every person. I mean,
no, but you've built a good culture.
But yeah, but we're also, if it's not working out,
right.
You don't fit anymore, then we're
if you don't fit the culture that the company is trying to build. A lot of people, like I said, character. They're hiring for character. Either you're going to fit in with this group of people, or you're not getting hired. And you show up with your shirt untucked, and you got one shoe on, and your hair's not done, and all those soft skills that you talk about. I don't.
You want to be a great worker. I teach the kids there's 3 things you got to do. All right, in this day and age, if you do these 3, you're almost gonna get an instant raise. And one is show up when you're supposed to show up at work. Right.
Well, is that when you're supposed to show up, or is that a few minutes early?
Ideally a few minutes early, but certainly not a half hour and 45 minutes late. Okay, so show up when you're supposed to show up. Number 1, right? Number 2, work the whole time you're there. All right. If you're doing construction or some other things, there is some lag time between grabbing a board and doing things, but there's always something to do to, prepare, grab this tool, get the guy set up.
Time for leaning?
What's that?
If there's time for leaning?
There's time for cleaning.
Time for leaning, time for cleaning, but there's always something to do. And for some reason, this generation is missing some of that, so that's partly why we're trying to teach them, but work the whole time you're there. And number 3, I say, is stay off your phone while you're working. If you would do those 3 things, like I said, you're going to be a pretty valuable employee. I'll tell a story I told the kids, a few weeks ago in our workshop, but I went to Menards to get some supplies for a workshop. And I walked by the cart corral after I got my stuff, right? And I was loading my truck up, and I see 2 legs in the cart corral. And those legs didn't move at all, right? So I load up my truck, and a couple minutes later, maybe 5 minutes later, I said, I'm going to see what's going on. I said, I think I know what's going on, but I'm going to see what's going on. So I pushed my cart into the cart corral, and what do you think I saw? There was a kid in there just looking at his phone. And he had a Menards vest on, right? So he worked for Menards. He was just hanging out, hiding in there, not doing anything, So I told the kids, you're robbing from that company. You're not being productive for them. That's exactly what you don't want to do. And we've had to let go a few people because for one of those 3 reasons, but, maybe every time there's a break in between putting a board up, they got to look at their phone.
Oh yeah, it was everyone in the field wore headsets, and they just had a guy. I mean, every time he turned around, is on the phone with the girlfriend, and stuff was all of a sudden he'd start doing something. He's talking to her, forget what he was doing, and stuff wouldn't get tight or whatever. And it was like, dude, that's gotta stop. It's a distraction, even when it's on a headset and it's hands free.
Well, and sometimes it's a safety thing, right? I mean. A lot of the trades, if your head's not on a swivel, if you're not paying attention, either yourself or one of your guys next to you, there's potential you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Well, it's safety, it's concentration, it's being the best you can be at your work. Now, I will say, honestly, that I was never on my cell phone while I was working in high school, and only because they weren't invented. But
he's down there with his
back and
forth.
The cell phone, the iPhone is a great tool, and if you need it for your job to look up a part or something, I get that. That's great. But it also can be a distraction, So there's no reason it can't be put on silent. It can't be put in your pocket. And when you have break time, you have lunch time, check your messages, look at your phone. But unless there's an extreme emergency, it's only going to detract from your ability to do a good job. And this generation, the younger generations right now, that's just something they need to know and be trained into.
Well, they need to learn that you can live without it. Even me. I mean, my screen time's horrendous, but that's mostly what I do for a living. But just having the ability to set your phone down and not touch it for an hour, there's so many people that are incapable of that.
We're fixing that. Well, for the hub of that truck, it wouldn't have been fixed without our cell phones.
No, absolutely
with
not.
calling people and
I mean, when you had the
Yeah,
breakdown.
flashlight, yeah.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, then we went that next day to go fix it, and I forgot my phone at home all morning. Didn't bother me once.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be have Elijah and Micah be on their phones, and I just sat there and looked out the window.
Well, and yeah,
But
it just becomes like automatic. If you're not doing something, even just sitting in this chair, I mean, you're like, oh, like I'm not doing anything. I could be on my phone, and it's probably a pretty bad habit if you look at it. But we use them for so much. If you are using them productively, it's not a bad thing. But like I've started to notice when I lay down to go to sleep at night, I like hear like phantom phone rings because my alarm is like that. I'll be like laying there and think my phone is doing that. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Look over, nothing's going on. What the heck? But like that happens to me so much, and I have it on my headset all the time that when I'm trying to go to sleep, I think my phone's going off.
And Blake said it best. Your phone is a tool. It's not a traditional tool that we think about that you'd have on a job site or in a toolbox, but that's absolutely what it is.
Yeah.
And AI is the same thing. If you use it as a tool and you beneficially help it, it is going to make you more efficient, more productive, etc. But it also is going to be a hindrance if you let it be. You cannot be the person, like he said, getting into the carts, getting on your phone, and that's a huge problem we see. We talked about it all the time where I previously came home with football. There's programs and whatnot that were letting people have their phones in meetings and whatnot when they're trying to cover material to beat an opponent the next week. How do you think that affects performance on a field and a job site or whatever you're doing? Because if you have to have that dopamine rush to check, oh, did my girlfriend text me? Oh, did so-and-so like my photo?
Got to win the Clash Royale.
Yeah, obviously, like your priorities are in the wrong place. But we're also teaching kids, like at a young age, like let them have them in the classroom. Kids like, oh, you get your work done early, you can get on your phone. You're teaching them that like, oh, it's all right, just get on your phone. We're on a job site. That's not how it works. If you get a job done, you don't get out your phone, all right, I'm going to mess around for 15 minutes and then go do something else. No, you get something done. You go do the next job.
That's right.
You get done with for the day, you can go do whatever you want.
So, but as a tool, now you may remember teachers talking about this. No, you're going to have to write that problem out because you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Yeah.
Well, now did your generation get that?
Yeah, they told us that.
Really?
They
Oh,
told
they
us
couldn't
that,
let
like,
that one go, huh?
No,
Well,
and it's like,
they told us too, like cursive. We learned.
we were the
taught
last
cursive.
grade to learn cursive
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
our school.
Oh yeah.
You guys are gonna need to learn that. Like you guys need to learn how to read cursive and write in cursive.
Yeah.
Nobody reads and writes in cursive.
To be fair, though, I sign my name a lot. And
Sure.
knowing how to sign your name, like Micah, he goes to sign his name, he just writes Micah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think
You gotta
at the
learn how to
very
make
least,
your
you
mark.
should make your
Yeah.
name. Learn how to write your name. But
But using the cell phone as a tool, I mean, I'll have guys, here's the list of things I need you to know. I don't know, pick one. What gauge wire do you need to run a 40 amp circuit? But I'll tell them, I said, I don't need you to have that answer, but I need you to be able to come up with that answer.
know how to get it.
Right? I don't need you to memorize the entire code book, but so long as you know how to look it up, and that's the whole thing when you're testing for like a journeyman or a master's license, you get the book. It's an open book test because it has nothing to do with, well, other than it's a timed test, so you better know a few of them off the cuff. Otherwise, it's going to be probably not going to get done. But the whole point is you know how to access that information. Now, it'd be a lot slicker if I was able to go in and take the test with my phone because I can just look it up. Careful, ChatGPT is not always correct.
Well, and I'll go back to ChatGPT. Me and Micah were talking about it. It's only as good as the prompt you give it. So I've been working, with mine for years. It's going to give me different answers than it gives yours, the paid versions versus the unpaid versions. There's so many different, attributes that can be changed. But if your prompt is really tight and concise, you usually, I trust my ChatGPT pretty, not unilaterally, but I trust it a lot more than most people. But my prompts are super extensive and there's a lot of information.
So now with that being said, it kind of takes it back to the, where it's taken over. Eventually, is there going to be a class on how to get the right information out
Yeah.
of. I mean, seriously, right?
No,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
technical communication, they already have it. It's
Yeah.
not too, like, it's just knowing what questions to ask. Like you guys said earlier, know how to find the answer, know what questions to ask. And it's like, if I say, like, right now to, like, not in my account, and I just say, find me a restaurant, it'll probably just find, I could, in Pennsylvania, it might just go anywhere. But now from mine, like, I'll be like, oh, find me a restaurant. It'll start throwing in names. I'll be like, okay, find me an Italian restaurant in Ames.
Yeah.
Give
You
me
should tighten the search
yeah,
up.
and then like ask for certain things, or like I just
Well-
prompting it, and it's just technical communication, which and a lot of people lack that.
But it's
these days.
hyper specific. If you want a hyper specific answer, you have to be hyper specific. I was working on one of our semis, and we could not figure out why it was as having a fueling problem inside the interstate. We got it back to the shop. I'm not a mechanic. I didn't go to school for it. I'm not whatever. I'm smart enough to be dangerous on it. So I just started giving it every symptom. I took a bunch of pictures of the engine, of wiring harnesses. I gave it the VIN number, the make and model, went through all that stuff. That's your base. Now give me only information pulled from Kenworth approved forums or Kenworth and Cummins approved forums. So that's a set of parameter, and work my way through. And it took us like 3.5, 4 hours to diagnose the issue and 15 minutes to fix it. But it was literally like, check this connector. It should be reading this voltage and doing all that hyper specific stuff. But every time I got an answer, I tried something, I would feed that back into it and work my way through it. We got the truck fixed without taking it into the dealership. But it was literally almost like I had another person there. And every time it suggested something, I did it and explained back to it the same thing. So,
but somebody has fed that knowledge into it.
well, somebody wrote it on a Reddit forum or on Kenworth's repair manuals or whatever. The information's out there. It's just what's the easiest way to scrape and access it. And AI
So it's
has
shared knowledge, but you got to be smart enough
to know where to get it.
and to know what, that's your airline.
Yeah.
The heck you talking about? This truck doesn't have any airlines.
And you've got to know what all of it means. But the neat part is, too, with AI, you can ask it, what is the airline? Where is this at? Whatever. And it can break it down even simpler for you. And, like, we were joking about classes, about using AI. I'm fairly certain where I graduated from, Iowa, currently has classes on how to use AI, and they encourage you to use it in your learning and things. I know for, like, me personally, like, studying for exams and stuff, how I used to study, it might take me 8 to 10 hours, go through all the slides, everything I had. Well, I started just copying and pasting everything in. Ask me multiple choice questions. Ask me long answer questions. Ask me like a college professor that grades really hard. And it would make me exams. And so instead of studying 8 to 10 hours, I now study for an hour, 2 hours. And I even found 10 to 20 of those questions on an exam I would get.
Sure.
And it's almost like our professors are using it too. Everybody's using it. It's going to make you more efficient, and it can take away from your workload.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a tool. You can't abuse it, because at the same time, kids are using it to write papers, write a resume, etc. And now there's gaps. So this doesn't make sense. You didn't actually do this. Whatever. And that's where you're going to get in trouble.
We're losing some intrinsic knowledge, which is
Right.
So Blake, Mr. Haan, maybe you'll know the answer to this. So on Highway 210, there was a crop production going on. He's not in here. So there came out some look like Terragators, except they had a combine front end on them, and they had what looked like a hopper wagon on the back. There was 5 of these machines sitting out there. I've never seen one of I thought it was alfalfa. And these things are out there. It's like, well, they're not haying, so what the heck is going on? So I took a picture of the thing and I used Google Lens, and it came back. And so I'm sharing this story at church, and one of the old guys taps his head and says, peas. I said, how in the heck did you know that? He says, it's right up here. I said, baloney. I've never seen anybody harvesting peas anywhere in this area. Now, he might have just pulled over on the side of the road and asked him.
That's his trick.
But, we're losing some of that, where my guess would be, he was, I don't know, he's probably in his 80s. He's probably seen it somewhere before.
Yeah.
And so, we need to get back to there. I think it's a tool, but I think a lot of guys are relying on it too hard. We need to find more problem solvers out there. Don't make that the first course. Too many times you see somebody ask a question, you go right to the phone.
Right.
It's like, no, just what's 2 times 4? It's like, You got to be able to know
Oh,
something.
you gotta have that. That's the
Right.
problem solving stuff. That's like the what I'd say general information. I think the vast majority of the United States, especially, is far lacking in the just general knowledge of things, well-roundedness. So when we're out doing stuff, one of the big things with Blake is he can figure out almost anything, and he's got just a very round knowledge of kind of a little bit of everything. That same thing with you, Luke. We were talking a couple months ago, and that's what I look for, because then you can pop off in any direction you want to go, because you have a decent base of knowledge and you can build off of it. But a lot of these people, it's like there is no base. So when
It's happening very quickly,
But-
and we need to wrangle it in. I mean, as a society, my youngest is 12, 13, and he's doing pretty good. We're making him problem solve, but very quickly, okay, which way do I tighten that nut? Okay, I tighten it this way. Okay, which way do I tighten this one? Same as the last one, man. Come on, you don't got to go to your
Well,
phone for every single time. It's
this I would say AI, your phone is a hybrid tool. It should not be the main power source. Let's take a vehicle, for example. It's hybrid electric. Electric's your backup power. You still got an engine that's kicking and operating with or without that. The problem is we're getting to the flip side where they can't operate without their phone. They can't figure out anything without their phone. That's where, you're going to have a serious problem, because there is no problem-solving ability when your phone dies and you're stuck. Well, shoot, my phone, we've been working such long days, it's dying, and I'm like, oh.
who here carries a paper map in their car?
Absolutely. I just got back from Virginia and I had a paper map the whole way.
I think like a few months ago, my grandpa was trying to give me his atlas, and I was like, I'm fine. mapping out the way home, and I was like, I just plug it into my phone. But I'm usually good with that. Like some kids, you say, hey, go to McDonald's on Lincoln Way in Ames. I don't know how to do
What's
that.
Lincoln Way?
Yeah, what's Lincoln Way? What's north? Where's
Yeah.
south at?
Oh, it's terrible.
It's just some common sense stuff like that. It's just, I don't know.
Because
it's
we've
just
become
fading.
so reliant on whether it's a phone or AI.
Yeah.
And
Or just
really,
no one taught them. I mean, that's what shocked me with class. It's like, hey, go get me a Phillips screwdriver. What's that? What do you mean, what's that? It's like, these are all things that I don't really know where I picked it up. I imagine I picked it up from Dad here, and you probably picked it. I don't know where everyone learned it, but you just know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we're running into in class is like, no, we need to go backwards and pick that list of 100 basic tools you're going to use in your own household, regardless if you ever get a trades job or not, and go over how to use them, because, I mean, they just don't know.
Right.
And that's
Kale, in high school or in college, you probably ran into this too. Or there's a lot of dudes.
I
you
ran.
don't know, and it's like, how do you not know that? Like,
Yeah, you run into it all the time, and that's
no
where
one's
I
taught me
use that's where I use the analogy. Like society today is like a double-edged sword. For those of us who have these foundational skills, these basic things that we know how to do, these understandings, to do simple math in our head, to be able to tighten a screw, to be able to drive to the McDonald's, you can do that, great, we're going to be successful. And that should set us ahead of the peers, the other people that are our age.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us that are the same age in this room. On paper, we should be ahead. That's great for us. We should have the opportunity to be more successful. But the other side of that sword is society as a whole is becoming less capable.
Yeah.
This is still a society we're a part of. This is a world we're going to be living in. This is a world that our kids someday will be in, our grandkids will be in. And if society can't continue this standard to do these basic things, what's going to happen to this world we live in?
the top of the bottle will just keep spreading. And that's what it is. And it's like people had basic skills and stuff, and like they might have been lower class, middle class, but yeah, now you have a lot of people missing a lot of skills that they were never taught. And then, like you said, like for kids that do have that, they get, I mean, the jump start now is insane compared to probably the average skills that most people have.
Yeah.
It might have not been educational skills. I think there's a lot, there's a lot of educational stuff out there where people can be book smart, but are you life smart?
Can you
Are
apply it?
street smart?
Well, yeah,
Can
I
you
got
apply it into realistic situations?
Correct.
I got a sister who's straight A student all the way through school and all that, and I mean, it's hard for her to find her way out of a wet paper bag on a rainy day. Just that she's really smart, but not like real life smart, and that's kind of she's starting to run into that as an adult, where the street smart, the general knowledge smart, is actually what gets you your base level life and employment, and then you build upon that with your educational base. But you just I think we're sitting in, like I've said this a ton, like the second industrial revolution. The only problem is most people don't even know that we're here. So the people that are willing to take the initiative and take the resources available and run with it are going to do very well. That's about, I would attribute 80% of the success that we've had in business to my ability to see the opportunity, grab it, and run. And right or wrong, I've lost a lot of money doing that too. So there's both sides of the coin, but take that information, take the tools available, take the right people, and head to the goal line. I think a lot of people get stuck somewhere in there because they just don't realize the revolutionary time they live in. Yeah. At no other point in the entire history of the world have you have this much access to information at your fingertips. There's almost nothing you cannot.
Right. Or this big of a gap in between the needs and the how do I want to say this? Like there is a huge amount of need for these skills, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is a huge gap in the people that are able to to
fulfill the need.
Exactly.
And that's where I see it generationally. Is just like I think about my capabilities, and I think I'm pretty capable. But I think like my grandparents, and I know they can do everything. Like they can tear engines apart, put it back together. They got a problem in the house. Like, oh, I think it's coming from here. I bet it's this or this. Go check it out. Boom, they got it figured out. And I'm like, well, I knew there was a problem, but I don't know exactly how I'm getting there. Yeah. And I'm probably getting my Google out, and I'm going, all right, so I got this problem. Where am I going? And
Grandpa goes, like, fuel, air, spark.
Correct. Like, and you could figure it out and get there, but they're just so much faster and efficient. And if I think I have that lack now, what's the lack going to be like later?
So that's a great and I don't know if you've got that in one of your stats. What's that gap right now? I mean,
we're sitting in 2025. It was that we were short 439,000. By 2026 in January of this year, it was 499,000. So basically 500,000 trade workers short.
So one of the things that I had seen was basically the tradesmen aging out. So just like you're saying with your grandpa, everybody knows somebody in the trades that's been doing it for 40 years, and yeah, I see them all the time. You've got your old guys and you've got your young guys, and there was nobody in between there, and these guys are getting ready to retire, and all of a sudden there's nobody left.
That's going to run the wages up. I mean, that's going to make the young guys be able to have the opportunity to make more than any person prior to them in that position has ever made because of the shortage. Like I said, it's that opportunity that a lot of people aren't seeing is coming around the corner. So, we could be sitting here in 5 years and a journeyman's making 100, or apprentice is making $100,000 a year just because there's not enough people willing to do it, and that's what's going to cost to incentivize them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Luke, I think I read somewhere for like every 5 people in my age category that are getting ready to retire, there's only like 2 coming to replace them in the trades. So it's a very significant problem, and really the strength of our country, right, requires people to do things, right? And so by having a lack of workers in the trades, it creates a real problem for your country's success. So that's part of why we got to be proactive in doing what we're doing right now.
Well, this is saying what manufacturing side, so this is a little off of our general trades, but I mean that's still
hands-on.
That's still hands-on, workforce. We're going to be 3.8 million short by 2033
in the U.S.
In the U.S.
I didn't even know there was that many people out there doing production.
Well, think about all the, whether you agree with it or not, tariff stuff, all that stuff that's brought manufacturing and businesses home. Look at all the data centers that need all that's manufactured parts, right? And that's all required by U.S. government to be built here, so it's not contaminated by foreign whatever. So that doesn't surprise me. And we're big in the foundry industry, and they can't find help. And you go into those places, and some of them are really nice, some of them are crappy, but that's all a manufacturing job. And they are...
No. That was manufacturing. If they're finding that it's hard to get a workforce, there's nobody out there.
True.
If there's 3 manufacturing plants, it's like, oh, look at this one. It's clean. It's got air conditioning. They've got the machines that come down and they do the stuff for you. It's like, sign me up. You're paying $35 an hour. I'll do that.
Right.
Was it Principal Building down in Des Moines? That was like one of the first in Des Moines with, or maybe there's some building down there that it was the first with AC, first office building with AC in Des Moines.
Oh yeah.
And so guess what that insurance company did? Took all the employees, took all the workforce, because everyone's like, well, why, if I'm going to work here and work for an insurance company, I might
Now,
as well sit in the AC.
So with that being said, Foundry as an example, now they've got more cost, which means the price of
100%.
their product is going to go up, and the rest of the populace is going to pay for that.
100%.
That's just the way
But
inflation works.
If
right?
you need, if there's still short people, that's 1.9 million more people working in the country. But the problem also that we see is people aren't working. People are literally electing to just work the minimum. And I it's another thing I say all the time. Nobody ever got ahead on 40 hours. Almost nobody has ever gotten ahead in life, really seriously ahead in 40 hours a week. You can maintain a really good life on 40 hours a week, and you'll buy a house eventually and do all that stuff. But you're not going to go out and conquer the world on 40 hours a week. And we've sold an entire generation of kids that you should be able to go to work 40 hours, clock out, and work not be your problem until you show back up the next day or the next week. And that's just not realistic. I mean, I had a client call me at 4:30 in the morning because they're in a different time zone. So it's 5:30 there, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, and it's the willingness to work is a whole nother issue facing today. Like Ames, Iowa City, these college towns that should have tons of young individuals ready to work, ready to do things. You go to a restaurant in town in the middle of the afternoon, you want to eat, and they're closed because they don't have enough people helping. They don't have enough work. It's a whole nother issue beyond just the basic skills of what you're doing technically, but just the willingness to show up every single day or whatever your time slot is and work.
And how much people our age complain about not having money. I am one of them. I am one of them. But like I said, I had the opportunity to, while I was in school, to be working with Elijah and to be being paid, and I took full accountability. It was like, well, I was in college, like I wanted to go hang out with my college buddies.
Well, Chad was calling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you
I
recognize
took
it.
accountability on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, guess who doesn't? Blake Stover doesn't get to go out and eat with his friends when they want to go out to eat. He doesn't get to go out and do fun stuff because I don't have the money for that. But how many kids are just going out and doing that anyways, and then they're complaining, and it's like, well, you're not working.
Correct. Yeah, but you recognize, and a lot of them just complain.
Yeah,
they
they don't.
complain,
Yeah.
and their solution to complaining is complain more, but it doesn't get them anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't. If you're going to complain about it and not do something, then just shut up because you're not getting anywhere. I mean, everyone's got a gripe about something, but if you're willing to change and do something about it, and that's fundamentally what we're trying to do with this whole program is give them a catalyst to have a change, to give them the right tools, show them the right people to connect with, whatever that is, to get out of the situation they don't like and into something they do. But
So Blake, what made you shift your career path at the stage of life you're at?
Yeah, I mean, the career that I did for 30 years, I just kind of got burnt out on, just caring for different needs for a long period of time. I just got burnt out mentally, and it's time for a change. And, I have 7 kids, and, Elisha's one of them. And, I could tell that he was wired for entrepreneurship. And I knew that part of raising him would be to help him get going in some businesses. And so that's kind of what we did when he was in high school. Hey, there's a lot of different ways to make money. Let's explore some ideas. I think I gave him $5,000 once and said, "Hey, do something with that." And we bought cars to fix up. We bought a skid loader, and we were doing a whole bunch of different things to just try to create a business and make something work. And so that's kind of how it all started, is by me just trying to help guide him into what his next level is. And he's a natural at it, and I've just kind of been along for the ride to make sure we do things legal, give advice when necessary, but I'm not here to micromanage him either, because he's got those skills and abilities.
So as we're kind of wrapping up this very first episode here, what would be the one thing that you would tell a kid coming up if to get started in his career? One piece of advice and it doesn't have to be somebody going to the trades. You got a kid coming out of high school. What would be the one thing to say, here's what it's going to take for you to launch yourself for the rest of your life, essentially? Not just career, but,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that it's one thing, but it's work ethic for sure, right? Some of the things we talked about: showing up on time, stay off your phone, and work your whole time. It's definitely work ethic, and I tell kids another thing is try to make yourself the best at what you are. You know, if you want to be an electrician, make sure you become a journeyman electrician, and maybe even a master level. But whatever you do, become the best at what you do, and you're going to rise to the top. You know, and if you show up on time and you work while you're there, I mean, if they're having layoffs, they're probably not going to lay you off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like the best of the best electrician or plumber or auto mechanic, they're probably not going to lay you off, and you're probably going to make top dollar. So, you know, be a hard worker and become the best that you can be at whatever you choose.
Do you think that comes down to like respect? Because I was telling my 4-year-old this. It all basically comes down to if you respect yourself, you're going to take care of yourself. If you respect the place you work or the job you're doing, you're going to respect that. You're going to respect the customers. If I had to one thing for a kid, it's learn the respect of everything around you, whether it's the equipment you have, the tools you're working with, the people you work with, the environment you're in. If you can do that, you will excel forward. Because I mean, it takes out the showing up late. If you respect the place you work, you'll be there on time. All those things, and if that was the one concept that I've kind of put that together from the building future classes, is it all kind of boils down to that. If you have a serious respect for the things around you, you will take care of those things, and all the minor showing up on time, all that stuff will kind of work itself out.
Mm-hmm. Solid. I think we did pretty dang good.
Mm-hmm.
Another shout out to the Farm for Profit podcast studio here that we're posting up in and building the future. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. Blake, thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Ressia, thanks for getting in on this. This is going to be
This is going to be fun.
I think so.
Great time.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see everybody again next week.